Now, a lot of you look at my garden and the produce that comes from it and think, where's the rest of the garden? That can't be all there is. Or maybe the garden looks a lot smaller on camera than it really is. Well, would you believe that 90% of my crops come from 160 square feet of garden area? In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 things that I do to become more self-sufficient in less space in this small urban garden. Coming up. Happy Self-Sufficient Sunday, and Happy Mother's Day to all you great moms out there. And a special Happy Mother's Day to my mom and to my wife Emily, Noah's mom. I hope you're all having a great day. I'm Brian with California Garden TV, and if this is your first time here and you're looking to join a garden community online that offers tips, tricks, and support to help you grow your own fruits and vegetables organically and become a little more self-sufficient along the way, then you're in the right spot. Get started now by clicking subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss anything. Now let's get growing. Tip number 1 is to grow only what you can eat. Now that seems pretty simple, but I know I have been guilty of growing way more than I need, and even vegetables that I don't even like. For whatever reason, they look cool, other people like them, I don't know. Let me know down in the comments what is the absolute best vegetable that you literally cannot live without in your garden. It's going to take you a while. If this is your first time growing a garden, it's going to take you a while to really kind of get and understand what you need to grow to provide for your family. And it's hard information for me to give you advice because I don't know the size of your family. I don't know what you like to eat. Different things take up different amounts of space. So it's going to be trial and error for the first 2 to 3 years, but that doesn't mean you're going to be without. You might end up with some things too much of and some things not enough of, but keep notes, keep a journal, and then in 2 or 3 years, you're going to know exactly what to plant and where to plant it. And, barring any type of weather issue, you should be pretty good on, what you need to feed your family. Tip number 2 is to just grow small plants. Seems like a no-brainer, but I didn't think of it until recently. There are tons of varieties out there that you can grow of your favorite vegetables just in a smaller form. This happens to be a cucumber called Space Master. It's really only going to get this big. There's a Tiny Tim tomato. I'm going to put a link down below to a website that's got all kinds of varieties of different vegetables and the names of dwarf varieties. So you can check those out and grow those to take up a lot less space in your garden, but still give you your favorite vegetables. Tip number 3 is raised beds. A lot of gardens, a lot of farms grow their vegetables in straight rows with a ton of space in between. Many gardens, that's a waste of space. You are using a lot of ground space for walking when you really don't have to do that. In field, they put long rows so they can put equipment down through those rows. But in a home garden, a raised bed is really the perfect solution. Now, you don't have to make raised beds like I have here. I've got some in the front yard that are really cheap to make. We did a video on this about 2 months ago. I'll link below. But my beds here are on concrete. And so they are 15 inches tall with 12 inches of soil. Now, the raised beds I just built out in the front yard, in fact, I just finished them today. They are 6 inches deep. They're over soil, so 6 inches is perfect. And I think raised bed gardening could be a video all on its own, so maybe I'll do that. Tip number 4 is containers. Kind of the same as raised beds, but on a smaller scale. Now, vegetables grow really great in containers, provided they have the right amount of water and fertilizer. And I'm growing a ton of stuff this year in containers. So right here I have 2 containers of corn. Now, I did a video about, a month ago planting all of this, so I'll link that below. Everything I mentioned in this video is going to be linked down below. So we've got 2 pots of sweet corn. I've got some runner beans. I've got 3 containers of potatoes. In fact, look at this. This one was a grocery bag, a cloth grocery bag, and it actually rotted out the bottom. I turned it over today and found some potatoes. So at least we know they're working. Not sure if that one's going to produce a lot though because it's rotted, but anyway. Potatoes, we've got chard and bush beans here. I've got the Space Master cucumber, I've got crookneck yellow squash, I've got loofah. These two pots over here are going to be for my sweet potatoes. So there's a lot going on. I've got peppers, I've got all my herbs in containers, I've got strawberries. So you can grow pretty much anything in a container in terms of vegetables. And the great thing about containers is you can just pop one in wherever you have a blank spot or just a little bit of space to increase your growing area. Number 5 is vertical gardening. Now, one of the first things that people notice when they see my garden, after they get past all the turquoise structures, are these bamboo teepees. And I've got 8, 9 of them out here, maybe 10. And they're more than just something to hold up the little pretty lights. I take advantage of as much vertical real estate as I possibly can. Because like I said, 95% of my growing area is these 5 raised beds, about 160 square feet. Now I know size is relative, but 160 square feet, I think by most people's standards, is a pretty small garden. But when you grow vertically, you can sometimes get 10 times the amount of production out of a small space. You know, these are runner beans planted here, and this is going to end up being about a 4-foot diameter, 8-foot tall tower of beans. Now I know beans are supposed to be grown on trellises, but when you consider other things like cucumbers, watermelon, pumpkins, all kinds of vining squashes, just one of those would take up an entire, maybe 3/4 of one of these beds. But growing them vertically, they're only taking up maybe 2 square feet. I even grow my zucchini and summer squashes up vertically. Now I did a video on that last summer, but a lot of you said it wasn't detailed enough. So once these get a little bit bigger to show how it's done, I'm going to film one that has a little more detail to it. So stay tuned for that. Number 6 is Espalier. Now, Espalier is a French method of growing fruit trees trained in one plane. And it's an absolute must for anyone with a small garden who wants to include fruit. These apples started out as little sticks about 5 years ago, and I trained them against this garage wall. Now keep in mind, the soil area here is only 1 foot from the garage to the sidewalk. In this small space, I get a couple hundred apples every year. So I have several things espalier. I have the 2 apple trees, I've got a lemon tree, and around the side of the house I have a nectarine and 2 peach trees. Now, I'm actually considering doing or trying to do an avocado espalier. I think that would be really fun to try, and if it works, oh, I'd be in heaven. I'm also, if you tune in January, I'm going to be adding an espaliered plum tree in our new front vegetable garden, so stay tuned for that. Number 6 is succession planting. Now, succession planting is great for small spaces because while these cabbages take up a lot of space, they're really slow growing. In fact, this has been here since October and really only got some size in the last month and a half. So during that time, between the slow growing plants and all brassicas, cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, they all grow really slow. So that gives you a lot of room between them until they actually do get some size, several months of being able to put in fast growing crops like radishes, carrots, and lettuce. You could get several crops of lettuce and radish in the amount of time it takes for these to get fully grown. I could probably do a whole video on that too, so I will add it to the list. Number 8, forget the lawn. Lawns are a lot of work and they take a lot more water than a vegetable garden. Now, if you have a local ordinance that prohibits vegetable gardens from being in the front yard, there are ways around it. Maybe skip the obvious, like the large corn or huge leaf squash, but you could definitely sneak in some edibles to your ornamental flower garden in the front yard, like kale, cabbages, lettuces, carrots, beets. All those things would go really well with flowers. And I don't think most people would even notice that there were edibles or care. So you could have a beautiful, secretly edible garden. At the very least, Grow some herbs. Herbs are ornamental and edible. Number 9 is interplanting. That just means planting things together that aren't going to, hurt or hinder the other's growth. Now I always, in my tomato bed, I always put a row of basil between the front rows so it can get the sun. It's not going to be shaded, but I love growing them together. Not only is it a companion plant, we did a video on that, but it does bring in the pollinators. I've got purple down that way, but it just grows well together. Now out front in my new vegetable garden in the front yard, and I put a picture on Instagram yesterday, so make sure you're following me over there because you get other things that you won't see here, especially today. I had planned on doing some filming out there just to show that to you because I'm going to be doing a ton of interplanting out there. I've got a long row of San Marzano tomatoes because last year I didn't have enough saved for sauce, and so I put some more out there in the front. We took away some lawn and did that, and then also I'm doing a big bed. I can't remember. I think it's 12 by 10, and that's going to be. I'll put a picture up here so you can see it. Right now, we've got gardeners out there who showed up at the exact time that I wanted to film, and they're doing a bunch of work in the front yard, putting in sprinklers and things like that. So, won't be able to be filming out there right now. But what that bed is going to be is a Three Sisters bed. Now, Three Sisters is the ultimate in interplanting. It's something that the Native Americans did for hundreds of years before the Europeans got here. And that was grow corn, beans, and squash together. Now I'm going to do an entire video on this. Number 10 is microgreens. Now Noah and I did a video on this a couple months ago. That'll be down below. But microgreens are a really great way to grow a ton of greens in a really small amount of space, indoors or outdoors. So I hope this video inspires you to take advantage of the space you have in your garden. Even if you think it's a small garden, there's still lots you can do. If you have some other ideas that I didn't mention, definitely leave those in the comments below because we'd all like to hear and take advantage of those. And if you aren't reading the comments, there's a lot of people I get that I hear from that are learning just as much in the comments from people as they are in these videos. So it's a great community to be a part of. Definitely make sure you check out the comments and leave one of your own. And I will see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.